Hi. I mean, what are you talking about? I'm watching it. What? So confused. It is live. What? What are you talking about? No, I don't see anyone. No. All I see is myself, man. Oh, here. Uh, no. I don't see anyone in here. And it's definitely live. Chat down, streamation down. I mean, it says only one viewer though. What do you mean we live? Okay. Okay. I see two people. That's it. I guess hopefully everyone else can get in. Because I'm a start. Please type questions in the chat regarding mixing. Alright. I don't know who the service god is, but nonetheless, how do I get rid of this? Oops. I don't want that there. What is this? Huh? Get rid of this. Okay. Yo. Okay, where's Chris? Alright, cool. Alright, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. We're doing it a different way this time around, specifically because I want to do a class on mixing, and it is easier for me to let you guys hear and show you things via Twitch. Zoom doesn't have the best algorithm for audio, so here we go, guys. I just want to kind of like jump straight into it. It looks like you guys can hear me from what I can tell from my screen, so let me know in the chat if you know, anything happens with the audio. But basically I want to just walk you through you know, a typical mix of mine, or like how I typically approach mixing. Like, let's say
there it is.
Alright, cool. So like, typically speaking, what I typically want to do is basically, you know, find the main elements in the song. For me, it's usually like, you know, bass, 808, maybe the main melody in the instrumental, maybe the vocal. I mean, the vocalist is pretty much, in most genres, typically forefront. So that's, you know, I typically like to pick 3 or 4 elements out the mix that I'm going to focus on. And then, you know, it's just always a constant push and pull of getting the perfect balance going in your mix. So actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to do one better for you guys, and we're gonna take it all the way, fellas. I'm going to open up a actual mixing session. This is just a recording session I have open right here, so hold on. Gotta plug up my hard drive. There you go. Alright, I'm gonna pull up an actual mix. And like I said, feel free to ask questions. Let me open this chat. I'm going to make sure I have the chat open at all times so I can see any questions that you guys drop in. Feel free to ask questions via chat. Let me see who's in here. Okay. You gotta download the app. Pull up. All right. Cool. I'm going to pull up an actual real deal mixing session. So let's go for it right now. I'm going to fuck it. We'll do this one. Mix revision. Yeah, we'll do the first mix revision. No, don't save. Alright guys, thanks for your patience. I am loading up this mixing session for y'all right now. This is going to be a legendary one, and I'm recording it so anyone who misses the class will still be able to tap in. Alright, here we go, y'all. Real deal Gabe mixing session. Right now. Right now. Alright. I assume you guys can see my screen. Like I said, I have the chat up so I can still see anything that you guys say periodically, so just keep that in mind. Where is my chat at? There we go. Cool. Oh wait, I do want to, how do I like keep this here? Is there a way to like keep it floating? Alright, here we go, guys. Let me show you guys the mix, and then we can walk through it from start to finish. I'm going to turn off all my mix bus processing that I have going on. Here you guys go.
What to say? I'm saying.
See, I'm gonna have to. Let me check the window. System usage.
Never says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Baby, calm. Oh my lord, baby, Lord.
Oh, it is this.
Never says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Baby, calm. Oh my lord, baby, Lord. You I trust, the job. Try my love, baby. Let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe.
Alright, cool. So that's kind of just like a very simple, you know, regular record that you guys would typically hear with auto-tune. Let me make sure everyone else is good in here. Is everyone good in here? No questions? Cool. Alright, so I'm going to walk you through the mix from... Alright, so typically when I get a record, first thing I do is listen to the reference that they sent me, see where they had it and where, you know, what they've been listening to prior to sending it to me. And then from there, you know, I'm typically basically going from... I start with the low end and the kick. Like, I just love starting with the 808 and kick and vocals. That's, like, usually how I start. So, like, I'll literally take you right through the process from jump to finish. So I can actually, like, literally, this is what I did. I started with this 808 right here, so... I assume you guys can hear this. So let me take off all the processing. So basically what I did was I noticed that this 808 was pretty low. Like, you see how it's low in volume? Like, I want the 808 to definitely be, like, way up here. Or just definitely be more prominent. So my thought process when getting this was like, oh, this shit is mad low. Let me put some distortion on it. Because when I put distortion on it, it makes it louder. So watch this. And as you add more distortion, it gets louder. See how it's getting louder? But I don't want that much distortion. And then after that, I did a little bit of EQing. It looks like there was a little bit low rumble that I didn't really necessarily need at 12 hertz and below. So that's just me rolling that off. 76 hertz was where I wanted to boost this bass. I mean, if you look at, you know, where it's hitting, I mean, you can pretty much see that a lot of the energy is around 76. So I just wanted to kind of emphasize that a little bit more. Right here is a cut at 343 because I felt like that was a little bit like boxy or just unneeded, unnecessary. This is me boosting that upper frequency to make the bass cut through smaller speakers. And then after that, this is like one of my favorite tricks to do. I like to boost 20 hertz, which is like super, super, super low, but and then attenuate it as well. So I'm kind of boosting it, but cutting it, boosting it and cutting it. And then what I do is this other secret trick is right after that, I put a Q3, but with a multi-band at 25. And that's just, basically, I want to make the low end really big, but really tight. So this is my like way of achieving that. So I'm gonna let you guys hear it with everything on it right now. And then here, I can do it with and without for you guys. What is it, command? No, it's, yeah, there you go. Okay. So this is without. And this is with. So that's kind of like literally, that is legitimately the first thing I did with this mix. So once I did that, I was like, all right, cool. I like where that 808 is. Like I said, like when you're mixing, it's really just a lot of pull and take and pull and take. You're just massaging things into position constantly. So basically what I did was, once I did that, I bring in the kick. And for the kick, let me see. This is how the kick sounded without any processing. So I felt like there was a fair amount of good like low end energy in the kick. But if you notice, I'm using the bass or synth bass for that low end, like super low sub frequencies. So I didn't really want the kick to be too low end heavy. So that was kind of my thought process. So what I did was I added a little bit of distortion to make it a little louder, make it cut a little bit more. Then I bring in this Q3, and with this Q3, I actually cut a good amount of the low end out and do a little bit of boosting at 60. But I mean, you can see there's this information down here. You see this information right here, guys? I don't want that information. That information is for that bass. So I'm just making room for that bass. You know, you might want to even cut it a little bit more like that. And then this right here, 256 was boxy. I just wasn't feeling it, that frequency, so I cut that out. This is to make the kick cut through smaller speakers. And this is how you hear the beater of the kick drum. So if you boost around 1500, you can usually hear that beater hitting the skin head of the kick drum. So I assume you guys can hear. Let me see who else in here. All right. So literally right after I did that, I bring in one of my favorite compressors for kick drums specifically. And that's just the H comp. And the reason I really like this for kick drums is this punch knob. It really just makes that kick, you know, just get that much more harder. Like if I crank it all the way up. You see how it's just punchy as fuck? Like I'll take it out. Now hear it. It's just punching the fuck out of So then another trick I do is parallel compression, and this is just a really good trick to make that high end information on the kick poke out even more. So I'll play it fully without it turned down, and you'll hear exactly what I mean. All right, you hear that high frequency like attack? That's from this parallel compression bus. So I pretty much do parallel compression on most kick drums in most songs. That's pretty much the main thing I parallel compress. I don't really parallel compress vocals too much or snares or anything else. It's really the kick. I just love that extra oomph and weight that you get from parallel compressing a kick. So basically what you would do is you would send the signal 100%. Then you'd roll off. I mean, it depends on what you want it for. If I wanted more low end in my from my parallel compression, I'd do it like this. I'd roll off the high end and focus on the low end like that before it hits the compressor. Like that. But if I wanted more like to focus on higher frequencies to make the kick drum cut through smaller speakers, I'd cut off all that low end just to leave room so that so basically I'm just making the compressor focus on certain frequencies. So now after I super compress it, I mean, you can see it's flatlined. After that, I boost, I believe, 1,000. 1K, which is where that attack and beater is, and then I'm cutting a little bit of 300 out, which is, you know, muddy boxiness typically. So, and then obviously you just level it to taste, you know. I think I had it at like 15 dB down there, so you can't really hear it, but it's just something to add that extra oomph to make that kick drum cut. And then at this point in it, to be honest, I'd bring in 2 more things. I'd bring in the melody and I bring the vocals. And then I just start building everything around it. So I start with the bass and kick, then I go melody, vocals, all at the same time. So I have kick, bass, melody, vocals all at once. And then I'm just gonna massage those into place to where I think they need to be, and then just continually add and build around it, you know? I just want to make sure. Alright, so basically, like I said, I would go about building around it now. So let's see what we want to do with this guitar loop. So typically speaking, if I'm working on, like, let's say a main melody in a song, typically what I like to do is I like to move it out the middle, at least a little bit. So move the main sound out the middle and to the sides more to leave room for that vocal. So now I like to wrap my sounds around the vocals. So let me show you how I did that. First, I EQ'd it, took a little bit of that low end energy out. I didn't really like 165. I wasn't feeling 398, so I cut that. And this is the key right here, right? So now I spread it out with this stereo width. So that just wraps the sound around. But I take it even farther. Here's another secret that y'all can do that's even, in my opinion, a little bit cleaner. So go to center, and now you're gonna cut that sound out the middle and boost it on the sides. Right? So you'll notice, look what happens when I cut the center out. You see how it's pretty much just on the sides? Cool. So this is a great trick for all of y'all to use. So use this center plugin and literally just pull it out the center. And what that's going to do is literally pull the center image out that sound and push it to the sides. And now that vocal is coming straight through that center. And it's just wrapping around that mono vocal. So that's a great trick that you guys can all use. I do that a lot, actually. So and then I'd go about literally bringing this vocal in. So let's see how this vocal sounds.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Heaven says what to say, I'm just saying, baby, slide my way, baby, calm, oh my love, baby, knows you I trust.
So let's take everything I did off and hear how it sounds flat.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Heaven says what to say, I'm just saying, baby, slide my way, baby, calm, oh my love, baby, knows you I trust. Get jump, try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe. Jimmy Choo, for you, got me souffle.
Feel free to drop questions in the chat while I am talking, guys. I can only help you guys as much as you ask questions, so please feel free to, like, literally ask me anything, preferably stuff regarding what I'm mixing or, like, how I would approach something or why I did certain things would be fire. So definitely drop some stuff in there for me, guys. Like I said, I want you guys to get the most out of these classes and videos.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe.
So first thing in, like, right when I bring that vocal in, the first thing I'm gonna do is add auto-tune to it and find the note of the song.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Never says what to say, I'm just saying, baby, slide my way, baby, calm, oh my love, baby, knows you I trust. Get jump, try my love, baby, let's go away.
I'm frozen. I'm frozen. How am I frozen? You sure about that, fam? That's not frozen. You're bugging. Anyways, so literally, the first thing I do is I get this auto tune going.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you.
See, and then the other thing you got to realize is he an alto tenor? Is he a low male soprano? So I definitely suggest that you guys do some research on, you know, the different types of voices, because if you don't do the right input type, it's gonna literally fuck it all up. So, just FYI. FYI on that, guys. And then right after that, I bring in the Q3. And this is where I'm just doing a lot of surgical EQ. It looks like I'm cutting out 7,600, 5,000, 4,000. Looks like 2,500, which I usually cut out a lot. I'm not a big fan of that frequency.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Never says what to say. I'm just saying, baby, it's not my way. Baby, calm, oh my love, baby, knows you I trust. You can jump, try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe. Jimmy Choo, stuff for you, got me souffle.
I got it.
I didn't know, yeah, I didn't know I could see the girl, yeah.
Okay. So after that, I would bring a C1 gate, and this is just going to cut out a little bit of the breaths or any sounds in between when he's talking or singing. So, and then I go straight from there to the Vox bus, and this is where I do most of my processing. So I started with the C6 just to like control a little bit of this nasaliness up its 8K.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Never says what to say. I'm just saying, baby, it's not my way. Baby, calm, oh my love, baby, knows you I trust. You can jump, try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe. Jimmy Choo, stuff for you, got me souffle. Elio, I didn't know, yeah, I didn't know I could see the girl, yeah.
So you guys can see how I'm controlling it, and after that, what I do is I bring in this 670 Fairchild emulation, and this is just gonna control some of those peaks.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Never says what to say. I'm just saying.
I don't believe in doing overly too much compression, but I mean, this is just a great way that you guys can really hone in. Alright, so then after that, I bring in the API 550, and this is where I typically would boost the fundamental frequency, and the fundamental frequency is specifically the main frequency that the majority of the vocal sits in. For him specifically, it was around 800, but a lot of people are around 1.5K, so I'm typically either boosting 1.5K or 800. I mean, I'll show you right now, look. 1.5 sounds like this.
Play it safe.
So with his vocal, I could have actually used either or. I just ended up using 800.
Play it safe.
And then after that, we're doing just a slight roll off just to control things a little bit more.
Play it safe.
Then a bus compressor, which I suggest that all y'all use at least some point on your vocals, because it really glues things together.
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Never says.
You see how that just like really hugged that really loud part?
Play it safe, that's okay, cause you're not my babe. Never says.
Like I said, guys, feel free to ask questions, guys, or else what's the point? Alright.
Play it safe.
Then after that, I bring in my baby, the Pultec. Did a little tiny bit of boosting at 100, little cutting at 100. I usually like to do a shelf on really high frequencies on vocals, so that's what I'm doing here. 16K shelf, attenuation at 5K because 5K can get a little harsh. So that's my vocal sweetener. Then after that, we did a mag EQ. This is my baby. I pretty much am using this on most of my mixes now. But basically what I like to use the mag for is a lot of people will come to me with very harsh or nasally vocals in the higher frequencies. And what I do is I use the mag to boost the lower frequencies to offset the harshness. So what happens is because it's flatlined like this and this is really harsh, the human ear notices this. But when I go like this and boost that low information, the human ear doesn't hear this harsh stuff anymore as much, if that makes sense. So look what I'm showing. Like if you're flatlining like this, right, and this is harsh over here, the human ear is going to pick up the harshness. But if I boom like this and boost the low, this harshness lies down and basically gets turned down out of default because you're flipping it. So it's kind of like a reverse psychology way of addressing harshness in a vocal. So I suggest you all try that. Instead of cutting harsh frequencies, try boosting low frequencies. And that's a super big gem. So if you ain't write that down, bugging. So then, yeah, so after this mag EQ, I do some de-essing.
Play it safe.
It looks like it's 7K. It looks like it's only the high frequency, higher frequencies that are being attenuated.
Play it safe. That's okay, cause you're not my.
And then last but not least, I'm doing a little bit of controlling in the last step.
Play it safe.
And then after that, you obviously have your sends, reverb. I'm sending to, see, this is a trick that I do this in pretty much every mix, and mostly like I send vocals to multiple reverbs. I don't think I've ever just sent a vocal to one reverb. So I pretty much just like create different textures by blending different reverbs with one vocal. And I tend to do that with echoes too. Like I'm always blending multiple echoes together. You just don't know what things are going to sound like till you try. So it's always good to have, some good sends on standby. I mean, as you can see, I'm very heavy on effects. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 different effects that I can use simultaneously.
Play it safe. That's okay, cause you're not my baby.
Alright, so let's hear how it sounded before and after, guys. Let me just give you a before and after real quick. There you go.
Play it safe.
This is before.
Play it safe. That's okay, cause you're not my baby.
This is after.
Play it safe. That's okay.
So you notice that the voice, it comes up a little bit in volume. It gets a little bit bigger. It's a little bit thicker. Has some nice top end to it, some nice sheen. That's all you really want from a vocal. You don't need to do nothing crazy.
Play it safe. That's okay, cause you're not my babe. Heaven says what to say. I'm just saying.
And then we can listen to some of these echoes. Let me see what these echoes sound like.
Play it safe. That's okay, cause you're not my babe. Heaven says what to say. I'm just saying, baby, it's not my way. Baby, call oh my love, baby knows.
So then after that, typically what I'd do is I'd bring in backgrounds. So basically what I'm doing is I mix the foundation of the song first. That's typically how I approach it. Foundation meaning like the low end, the vocal, like the main elements. Like I told you, pick the 4 main things and then create that foundation, and then you literally just bring things around it. That's kind of like, I'm very visual. That's why I move my hands like that. That's how I like visualize mixing, No. Okay. Cool. So literally what I do is I'm about to show you right now. So I just start bringing in backgrounds. So now we have this background. And what I do with this background is I send this background here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So with backgrounds, what I like to do is I like to use stereo imagers. And what I do is I send the background to a stereo imager, but I cut the center image out, the mono image, so that the lead vocal's still in the center image. And then I literally cut the background out the center image, but push it on the side image. So now so like again, I wrap my vocals around the lead vocal. Look. I'll bypass this and then unbypass it. You see how the background's in the center right here when I bypass it? Look. And now what happens when I put it in? It goes to the sides of your ears. If you guys have headphones on, which you should if you're, you know, trying to get a good sense of how things sound. In my system, you should definitely be using headphones. But if you notice, look, bypass, it's still in the middle. And then unbypass. It's very easy to tell that it's on the sides instead of the middle anymore. So now when I add them together, the lead vocal, which is straight up and down in the center, and the backgrounds, look what happens. So the backgrounds are literally just adding more width and thickness to the vocals, but it's wrapped around. It's not taking any attention off the listener in the center section.
Never says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Come, oh my love, baby, lost. You I trust, take the jump. Try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe.
All right, let me bring in some other sounds so you guys can hear how it actually sounds.
Never says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Come, oh my love, baby, lost. You I trust, take the jump. Try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe.
I want you guys to also notice my color coordination and my routing, like how I'm pretty organized with things. Like, see, for example, up here is the reference. So this is like if I ever want to go back and reference what they originally sent me to see if I'm in the same bracket, if they ever give me corrections that are like, hey, go back to how we had it sounding. That's what that's for. Got my mix bus right here. That's for all my mix bus processing, just to make things loud and hit very hard. As you can see, the purple is my drums. The blue is my bass. The yellow is the only real music in the beat, which is a guitar. The green is like ad-libs and backgrounds and shit. The pinks are lead vocals. And the greens down here are just effects, all effects. And then as you notice, the reds are buses. So like all these vocals go to this Vox bus. And my buses separate the different types of tracks, if you notice. So like this background bus separates the backgrounds from the lead vocals, you see? This Vox bus separates the main vocals from whatever's down here. So I use those buses to separate. The instrumental bus is in between backgrounds and the beat, you know? But let me give you guys like a taste of like how it sounds with my mix bus processing, which I'll show you right now. We got the backs first in the chain. I pretty much do a lot of the same shit that I do on my analog setup in the box. So
never says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Come, oh my love, baby, lost. You I trust, take the jump. Try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe. Jimmy Choo, stuff from you got me souffle. Elio, acting no, yeah, acting no, I can stick you, yeah.
A reference point, you know, obviously we're in the loudness wars, but I just want to show you guys how loud my fucking mix is, so you guys can just like see how.
Jimmy Choo, stuff from you got me souffle. Elio, acting no, yeah, acting no.
So this is a very good competitive level.
Jimmy Choo, stuff from you got me souffle. Elio, acting no, yeah, acting no, I can stick you, yeah.
So I'm hitting around.
Jimmy Choo, stuff from you got me souffle. Elio, acting no, yeah, acting no, I can stick you, yeah. Jimmy Choo, stuff from you got me souffle. Elio, acting no, yeah, acting no, know I can stick you, yeah.
All right, cool. So then, you know, obviously, exactly just going off of what I was saying previously, I just literally bring things in and massage things into place.
Never says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Calm, oh my love, baby, lost. You I trust, the jump. Try my love, baby, let's go away. Sliding up in the white coupe, babe. Jimmy Choo, stuff from you, got me souffle. Elio, I didn't know, yeah, I didn't know I could stick you, yeah.
Yo, y'all been asking for a mixing class. So, I mean, if we gonna ask questions or what? What are we doing? What we doing, guys? Are we asking questions? Are you guys, you know, does everything make sense to you? Everything I'm showing you? Because I doubt that you don't have at least one question, my guy. Like, damn. Lene Ray. Well, all right. Well, I'll just talk about.
That's okay, cause you're not my babe. Heaven says what to say. I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Calm, oh my love, baby, lost. You I trust.
I was actually talking to my friend the other day. I believe he's in here. His name's Rec. I typically don't like using volume to get my vocals to be like loud in the mix. I like using frequencies, meaning I like making the vocal low in the mix, but using frequencies to make it perceive louder than it actually is. Meaning, like, if 1.5K makes the vocal cut through the song better, I'm going to boost that instead of turning the whole vocal up. So there's a lot of like ways that you can go about figuring things out without having to turn things up. You know what I mean? That's not the ultimate solution to everything. So just keep that in mind, you know? And if you notice, like, I'll just slowly bring things in. So basically what I do is, this is just to cut out a little bit of the muddiness in the mix. And that's the first thing in my chain. Second thing in my chain is the dangerous backs. And I'm just cutting 24 out that. And to kind of like counteract the cutting of 24, I'm boosting 98 to make it knock a little more. And then I'm also... Okay, I'll show the mix bus. Oh, that's funny you said that. I'm literally showing the mix bus. All right. So Chris wants to see the mix bus. So here it is. I start with the dangerous backs EQ. I'm cutting 24. I typically cut 24, sometimes 30. And then I typically, like, to kind of counterbalance it, I boost some of the low end to make that not come back. Then I typically will boost, like, it fluctuates. It's either 18 or 4.8 just to make, you know, have that clarity in the mix cut a little bit more. These are shelves. This is one of my favorite plugins, guys, for mix bus processing, FYI. This is on every mix. Every mix. This is one of the best, most transparent, low pass, high pass filter mastering plugins out here. So definitely on every mix at this point. After that, I do a little bit of controlling with the BX Townhouse bus compression. And this is just like kind of knocking down those crazy loud 808s, but also bringing... So what it does is it knocks down that big loud 808, but allows me to do... it allows me to bring in makeup gain. And what that will do is like control the loud parts in the song, but also bring up the quieter parts. That's what I like to use compression for a lot of times, especially when mastering. So that's kind of like what I'm doing here. It looks like I'm boosting 1.2, but I'm only cutting like 1.5, sometimes 2. And this is on 50% mix. So this is basically a parallel compression right now. Parallel bus comp. Then after that, I bring in my baby, the BX. And this, I'm literally just using this to roll off some of that stereo. You don't need the stereo frequencies in the lower frequencies. Like, you don't need, like, bass in stereo sounds really weird to the human ear. We're used to hearing it in mono, so I just kind of cut all that out to just give me space in the mix. As you can see on the stereo section, I just literally cut all that out. And then after that, I do a little boosting on the high frequencies. This is just a little sweetener on the mix to make it a little more hi-fi. Cut a little bit more. And this is Babe right here. And this is Babe right here. This is the leveler. This is what brings the level up in the mix. So it's one of my favorite plugins. It's basically a mastering desk. It's supposed to emulate a mastering desk. So I'm just pushing the volume up into the compressor and it's compressing it. And then I'm also like adding a little bit of saturation, distortion right here with the THD. Then I'm bringing back the output trim. Just stage gain it correctly. I love these resonant filters, which basically just cut out frequencies that you don't want. So this is what's really bringing the level up in the mix to basically to get it to a master. And then another thing I like to do is I like to clip, especially with this type of music. And clipping is just like a colorful way of slightly distorting a sound. But it adds distortion and character, you know what I'm saying? You just got to be careful with it, but clipping in the digital domain is actually pretty dope if you do it the right way. So this is one of my favorite plugins for just like making something just like cut and just be like loud, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so it's a sound. It's definitely a sound. Clipping is a sound, so. And then last but not least, I bring in this limiter, and that's kind of the final thing in the chain right there. So that's kind of like a basic walkthrough of a mix for me. I'd love to get some questions if anyone has questions, because I'm kind of just... What should the threshold be when limiting on the mix bus? It's really dependent upon how loud your mix is, to be honest. Like, how loud is your mix when hitting the mix bus? Like, for example, if it was a very quiet song, I'd have the threshold up at 3 dB. But it's not. It's a pretty good smacking record. I don't do that much. I don't really like. If you're a mixing engineer, I want you to stop going off of like numbers. You should really be going off of vibe and feeling and how things sound and feel to you. You should not go off of, hey, I need to be 1.3 dB threshold every mix if my mix hits this number or some shit. That takes the complete creativity and art form out of mixing. Mixing is a feel and a vibe. If it sounds good or feels good, it's right. Don't be going off of numbers. You should be going off of feeling. You know what I'm saying? So, I really don't know. Like I said, I know what I look for as far as reduction. So that's what tells me how hard to go. Reduction meaning the compression right here. See where I'm circling? So I know that this is too much. I don't want 4 dB of compression. So out the gate, I'd know that 5 dB threshold is too high because I don't want 4 dBs of compression. So I more so go off of how much compression I'm getting, not how much threshold I have or what the threshold's at. I'm more going off of how much compression is happening. You know what I mean? Like I just want a little tiny bit of like a barely tapping. Like all my moves and the way I treat my mixing is very small moves to equal one big result. I'm not a big person on doing heavy-handed shit. You know what I'm saying? And making like one compressor do all this crazy work. I just feel like it takes away from things. So yeah, any other questions? I'd love to get more questions, but it seems like you guys ain't really asking the questions. You know what I'm saying? You can also feel free to watch the video after I upload it. But if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all have. And after that, I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. But this is dope. I hope you guys could hear the sound pretty well. I'm pretty sure you did because I did a lot of troubleshooting and stuff before the class. but it should have been golden and great and good to go. Very excited. Hope you guys enjoyed this mixing class, because I actually got to show you guys some dope shit on this one and talk about parallel compression, talk about my vocal bus, talk about my mixing bus, talk about the most important elements in a mix and how I kind of wrap everything around the mix. Oh, you're talking about when limiting. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. I go off how much attenuation there is. So I'm not going off of like.
I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Call me.
You see this reduction? I go off I don't go off of threshold, bro. I go off of reduction. So, however much threshold I have to go down for it to equal the reduction that I want, or at least get it to the level that I need. You know what I mean? Without reducing it too much, without too much attenuation.
I'm just saying, but it's not my.
But I'd say typically speaking, I'm between 3 and 5. Yeah, 3 and 5 on a limiter. I'd say 3 and 5, bro.
I'm just saying, but it's not my way. Call me.
All right, any more questions? Any more questions? Let me know. If you guys liked this this breakdown and walkthrough, I'd be happy to do more. I can pull up some mixing sessions I've done for record label artists. If you guys want to see like a famous artist, how I mix their records, let me know. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Mixed by Gabriel class number 6, and this one was mixing, specifically walkthrough mix bus, vocal bus, how I process songs in general and how I treat them, and you know, just how I approach things. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, please feel free to ask. Reach out in the group chat or Facebook, and this will be on Facebook in a couple of minutes, so you guys can always rewatch what I do on my screen and how I do things and how I treat things. Please keep in mind there is no one way to do any of this. Just take what you learn and implement it in your own method and figure out what works best for you. Appreciate y'all. Peace.